Before he went to prison, Rayful Edmond III, the biggest drug dealer in the history of Washington, D.C., sold some $300 million a year worth of cocaine and crack. After he went to prison, he sold even more. Right here, behind the concrete walls, steel bars, and locked doors of this maximum security federal penitentiary in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. Following his conviction as a drug kingpin, Edmond was sentenced to 2 life terms without the possibility of parole. But within just days of his arrival, he was back in business. He was dealing drugs right from his prison cell.
Just about everybody inside the jail in some way, shape, form, or fashion is dealing in drugs, either directly or indirectly.
He was caught and 2 years ago struck a deal with the feds. Ever since, he's been telling them exactly how he pulled it off. Tell me what drugs you dealt with in prison. Cocaine?
Cocaine.
Crack?
Crack.
Heroin?
Heroin.
What else?
Marijuana. Those were the basic 4, cocaine, crack, and heroin, and marijuana.
There's nothing left. I mean, you did the gamut.
Yeah, I did it all.
He did it all and then some. For starters, he brought drugs into the prison through this visiting room. He hired other inmates whose girlfriends, during contact visits, would pass the stuff packed in small balloons.
She might kiss him and he put them in his mouth. He drank
swallow?
A little bit of soda or water, swallow them. She go do it again. Good
He's
day.
got them all inside.
Got them all inside. Then when he get back inside the institution, he spit them up.
What's the most you ever heard of those that any one person
That
could...
I ever seen one person bring? I seen somebody bring in like 60 of them.
Edmond says prison officials know this goes on.
It keeps the jail mellow. It keep people patient. You know, they be able to get high and chill. So they like this and let these things happen sometimes.
Come on.
Yeah, that's what they do.
He wasn't just selling drugs to other prisoners. He also masterminded the shipment of more than 2 tons of cocaine and crack from the coca fields of Colombia to the District of Columbia.
In some ways, he's like the Babe Ruth of crack dealers.
Eric Holder, the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, was, until recently, the top prosecutor in Washington, D.C. It was his office that locked Edmond up in the first place. Tell us the magnitude of his operation from inside the prison.
If you look at it on a monthly basis, he was exceeding that which he did when he was running what, to that time, had been the largest drug operation in Washington, D.C. history.
He was doing more from in prison? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, at its maximum, he was doing about 400 kilograms of cocaine per month while in prison, and while on the street, he was doing about 300 at its maximum.
Edmond says it was easy to do from behind bars.
I think it's much easier than when you're on the street.
Easier than on the street?
Much easier because you're right there with the people that have direct access to the narcotics that you need. Colombians, Cubans, Mexicans.
All thrown in together?
All thrown in together.
Thrown in with criminals like Osvaldo Trujillo Blanco, or as Edmond knew him, Chicky, a convicted drug felon.
He had a high-profile case. I had a high-profile case. So, you know, we were just wanting somebody to introduce us. We was waiting for a person to come along and say, this Chicky, this Ray. And we just gonna go from there. It was right there. What else? You know, what else could we do? It's right there.
Chicky is cocaine royalty, son of Griselda Trujillo Blanco, better known as the godmother of the Colombian drug underworld, and a founding member of the notorious Medellin drug cartel. Does it make any sense to put the biggest guy from D.C. and someone from one of the largest cartels in Colombia in such close proximity? You'd know it would be inevitable that they'd come together.
No, I'm not sure that's true. I wouldn't make that assumption. I would think that both people, having been put in federal prison, would have been incapacitated.
But they weren't. A year after Edmond met him, Chicky was released and returned to his horse ranch in Colombia. And that's when business really took off. So how did you pull it off? I mean, you were doing pretty serious and impressive deals.
Oh, yeah,
From inside, I love maximum security penitentiary.
Maximum security.
Specifically, how did you do it?
Specifically, we would use the visiting room, the telephones.
Specifically, these telephones, conveniently located just down the hall from his cell. Edmond would contact Chicky simply by placing a collect call to a friend in Washington. Every one of those calls was recorded.
Hello, this is the AT&T operator with a collect call. Who's calling, please?
Right.
Will you accept the charge?
Uh-huh.
The friend, in turn, connected him to Chicky all the way down in Medellin.
What reason would I be calling out the country? I'm not from Colombia or South America or
Here's
nowhere like
here's
that.
an inmate that's calling Medellin 3 and 4 times a week.
So you know I'm up to something. Just common sense would tell you. If you got good common sense, it would tell you that I'm up to no good.
In one afternoon, he made 59 phone calls to 5 states and 2 foreign countries.
I thought that we listened in on their phone conversations. I thought that when a guy makes a phone call, that the prison kind of knows what he's talking about.
All the phone conversations, all the social phone conversations are recorded, but not all of them are monitored.
Now, does that make any sense?
Well, it doesn't make any sense except for the fact that they don't have the ability to. There's simply not enough people to listen in on all of the phone conversations that all of these prisoners have.
And the prisoners know that. They count on it.
Oh, I'm sure that's true.
But Edmond says he and Chicky weren't taking any chances. They spoke in code.
Remember, he used to live in 18th Street.
Yeah.
That he was going to move to downtown to 16th Street.
Yeah.
When he made that statement to me, he was letting me know that the price went down 3,000 and went from 19th Street to 16th Street. So I automatically knew what he was talking about.
Edmond used an entirely different code when he spoke to his distributors back in Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, he used Pig Latin.
You want to hear a little bit?
Yeah, I want to hear what you'd say.
How could what could say the could you could do the for the comedic?
What did you say?
Oh, I was just saying, I feel good today.
So fast. You could do that.
You got to be fast so nobody will understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you could just do this whole interview like that?
Yeah, I could do the whole interview like that.
Now, what kind of money were you making out of this?
I wasn't making the money that I should be making, but you know, I was getting 5,000 here, 10,000 there, which is good money for somebody that's in jail and doing time.
It was good money for anyone. $200,000 in 2 years collected for him by associates on the outside. But the money flow was disrupted when Chicky was gunned down in a Medellin nightclub, but only temporarily, because Edmond quickly struck up with another inmate, this time from the Cali cartel. Freddie Aguilera was serving 60 years with no parole, just a cell block away.
And you hook up with another Colombian.
Yeah. Like I told you, the temptation, you know, you got people every day, different people coming to me trying to hook up drug deals. And this is something that I can do and I know how to do. So it was just hard to say, no, I don't want to be involved in it when I can just say, okay, let me set this deal up and give me a quick $20,000 or $30,000.
Prison authorities never did figure out what Edmond was up to, but the FBI and local police here in Washington, D.C. did, thanks to a tip from a jailhouse informant. When the feds went to Edmond with the evidence, much to their surprise, he agreed to cooperate. With his help, the government was able to lock up 15 drug dealers, among them some of the most violent drug thugs in the nation's capital.
Why did you decide to cooperate?
Because I wanted to put it all behind me. I wanted to help my family, first of all. That was the first thing that gave me the motivation. My mom, my aunt, and my 3 sisters.
His mom, his sisters, brothers-in-law, and others were all in the family business with Edmond and are all serving time. His mother and sisters are together at the Alderson prison camp in West Virginia. The feds told Edmond they would not recommend a sentence reduction for him, but they agreed to go to bat for his 56-year-old mother, who was sentenced to 24 years in prison for her role in Rayful's drug enterprise.
That's my mom. And, you know, I love her, so, you know, and I miss her. And, I hope she'd be okay.
I feel very honored. I mean, he has life or 2 life sentences, and he didn't think about himself. He thought about his mother.
Constance Bootsy Perry is the unlikely matriarch of Washington's most prominent crime family. Before she got locked up, she had a $40,000 a year job in the federal government.
So you got your kids educated, you made sure they went to church, you had a good job, your ex-husband had a good job.
Yeah, he had a job. He worked for the government, too.
He worked for the government. You were middle-class people.
Yes.
He was not raised in the inner city. He lived in the suburbs.
No.
Safe place.
Yes.
How many of your children are in jail?
6.
You had 7 kids and 6 are in jail.
Yes.
You're in jail?
Yes.
Come on. What happened?
I can't really say, and I think basically I'm in here only because I knew what was going on.
She was a mom to me, but also she was a personal friend to me. So when things, you know, selling drugs, like I told you before, so many things go wrong. People get killed, people lose their jobs, people get strung out, and whenever things go wrong or things don't go right in my life, she was my friend. I go talk to her and tell her about all these things, about what's going on with me, and she knew about all that, and she ended up telling all the things that I told her to an informant on a wiretap, and that made her be part of the conspiracy.
Well, it was more than that. Bootsy admits she once counted her son's drug money, and she accepted a car, a house, and other gifts purchased with his drug proceeds.
My mother always wanted a nice big house, you know, so I wanted to be able to buy that for her one day. She always wanted a Mercedes. I wanted to be able to buy that for her.
When Edmond was a child, both his parents sold drugs. The father, allegedly heroin. Bootsy says she sold diet pills and admits she sometimes had Rayful handle the money. But she blames his friends for getting him into the drug trade.
He saw the fast money, or he saw them driving big cars, and he said, hey, man, how did you do this? How did you get this? Yeah.
The money.
Yeah, and the money. Or greed. Just say greed. I'd say greed.
This is your watch.
Yeah, it used to be my watch.
Used to be your watch.
Yeah,
The government now has this watch.
Yeah, the government owns it now.
How much did this watch cost?
Oh, close to 100,000.
Was this typical of what you would buy
Yeah,
when
it's
you
typical
were...
things that I would buy when I was home.
Well, you were fancy.
Yeah, I was real jazzy. Yeah, I like, you know, try to have a lot of class.
Did you wear a lot of diamonds on your fingers?
I wasn't. I just had 1 carat. I just had a 10-carat diamond ring,
Oh,
a 3-carat for my ear, and just a diamond chain that matched the watch.
very simple.
Yeah, just, you know, simple but stand out.
Today, he's trying not to stand out. So the feds have put him in a little-known witness protection program for convicts. He lives under an alias in a different prison where it's hoped those he betrayed won't find him. But if he's hiding out, why is he talking to us? He says he wants the kids in Washington, D.C., who see him as a hero, to know that what he did was wrong.
A lot of my friends from my neighborhood lost their lives because I brought drugs in the community. You know, the
Crack
people
babies?
dying.
Crack
Yes,
babies?
some babies probably was born from crack because of me. Yeah, I feel bad about that now, but back then, you know, I was just thinking about the power.
We tried to ask the Bureau of Prisons what they're doing to prevent prison drug dealing, but they refused to comment. So we asked their new boss, Eric Holder, who has not yet had a role in making prison policy.
As a result of the Rayful incident, a task force was created to really look at the whole system and decide what we could be doing.
It's been 2 years since you first found out about this. Not you, I mean the Bureau of Prisons,
Sure.
the government, the Justice Department. It's been 2 years, and from what I'm hearing, the problem really has not been fixed yet.
I think that's right.
You're saying that it's remotely possible that as we're sitting here, somebody in some prison's making a phone call and setting up a drug deal somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's remotely possible, but I think we're also going to be in a position real soon to say it's not possible.
Do you think that's going on today, right now?
I'm quite sure it is, yeah. People are sitting in prison making drug deals, yeah. And you know, you're sitting there, you have nothing to do. And everybody need money, and they love money, so I'm quite sure that it's going on right now.
In fact, the Bureau of Prisons may have made it even easier. When the FBI began its investigation of Rayful Edmond, there were 3 phones on his cell block, and inmates could use them every other day. Today, there are 4 phones, and prisoners can use them every day.